Okay, so again, to reiterate, the three steps that we're going to do to master a string and master knowing where the notes are is first thing we're going to do is we're going to map out the key of C on that particular string. All right, and then as we map out the key of C, we're going to tie mnemonic devices to each note, if possible, to help us remember the location of those notes. After we've done that, we use the cycle of diatonic fourths, and diatonic means according to the scale. Okay, so we're going to use the cycle of diatonic fourths in the key of C to exercise our note recognition ability with those particular notes. All right, the next step is we're going to use the order of flats, okay, which is B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, to help us with our note recognition ability with the flat notes. And then lastly, we're going to use the cycle of perfect fourths, okay, to tie everything together. You know, why do we separate? You know, why do we say, okay, we're going to learn the naturals first, and then we're going to learn the flats, and then tie everything together? Well, it's just like, you know, when you sit down to enjoy a meal, right? You know, like, say, a sandwich, okay? You know, most people don't stick the whole sandwich in their mouth. You know, you take, you know, one bite at a time, right? So that's kind of what we're doing here with this. You know, we're taking one bite, you know, just the naturals, okay? And we're taking another bite, you know, the flats. All right, and then we're kind of digesting everything when we do put the whole thing together, okay, just to make it easier. All right, you know, if you don't need to do that, if you can just say, well, I know the cycle of perfect fourths now, I'm just going to jump in and just, you know, jump in the deep end and just go ahead and just start with that, fine. Okay, but, you know, I'm trying to give you a, you know, a systematic step-by-step, kind of like a baby step method, okay, to help you digest this. You know, this is like overwhelming, like memorizing all these notes, all right? Okay, so we're on the A string, and I'm going to walk through this with you. So, again, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to map out the key of C on the A string. So we can start with the A note, okay? All right. So we know this is A, right? Most of us out there know this is the A string. So what about B? How are we going to remember this is B? Well, since we understand the construction of the chromatic scale, we know that B is a whole step away from A. Okay? So we're going to tie B's location to A. Because we know where A is, B should be pretty easy to find. All right? You know, something else is that, what about C? Well, you know, most of you out there hopefully know this is the C chord. You know, this is one of the first chords that we learn when we're learning the guitar. Okay, so we've got two locations that we already know. We know this is the A note. We know this is a C chord. So that's going to surround the B note. Okay. All right, so now let's move on. So we already covered C. We're going to think C chord to help us remember where the C note is. C also is on a dot. Okay, now what about D's location? Well, D's on a dot, and it's also where we tune the guitar. Right? We tune the D string with this note. Right? The D note here at the 5th fret. Okay, now what about the 7th fret here where we have the E note? Okay, well that's on a dot. And something you might not be aware of is that at the 7th fret on every string is the octave of the lower adjacent string. Okay, so for instance, you know, here's E, and then that's E. Right, when we go to the next string, same thing. When we're here on the D string, this is A, and that's A. Okay, so the 7th fret is where the octave is, you know, except when you get to the B string, because the B is tuned a major third away from G. All right, and so that doesn't work there, but most of the time that works. All right, so we're going to remember that E being here at the 7th fret, that's where our octave is. Okay, so that's going to be like our little memory device. And again, if that doesn't work for you, think of something, you know, if E7 rings a bell and something in your life, you know, that makes it easier to remember, use that, okay? All right, now what about F? Well, I'm going to tie F's location to E because I know E is at the 7th fret on a dot here. You know, I'm going to use that to help me remember that F is just a half step above, okay, here at the 8th fret. Okay, now we have G at the 10th fret. Now, I'm going to use A, since I know A is here at the 12th fret, I'm going to tie G to A. Now let me just stop here and say that all this kind of thing that we're doing is kind of like training wheels. Eventually, you're just going to know where the notes are. You're not going to need to know about honeybees and hexagons and you know, all this kind of stuff. You know, this is just kind of to help you get from one point to another point, to help you get from not knowing the notes on the guitar to one day you just know them. And you don't need any training wheels and you don't need any help. You just know where the notes are, okay? So, all right, anyway, so again, we tied G's location to A, all right? And we know that G is a whole step away from A. Okay, so now that we've mapped out the key of C on the A string, right, and we've established our mnemonic devices, then we want to use the cycle of diatonic fourths in the key of C, and again, that just means every fourth note in the key of C. C, F, B, E, A, D, G. And again, the reason why we're using that, we're just using it as a tool to help us skip around the guitar in a systematic, methodical way, okay, to practice our note recognition ability for the key of C, as opposed to just simply mindlessly just going A, B, C, D. You know, that's not really helping, okay? At least it didn't help me. You know, whenever I was, you know, working on this way back, you know, it helped to like skip around, and then I had to really think about it, okay? So hopefully that'll work for you. I've been using this system with my students for years, and it's really helped them. So I know this works. Okay, so so we'll take the cycle of fourths, diatonic fourths in the key of C, and we're just going to do this: C, F, B, E, A, D, G. Okay. So you're going to want to do that again with a metronome, or you know, time yourself and establish a time and then try to beat the time. Okay, so once you've done that, like, you know, maybe you ought to, if you know, if you need to work on this, stop the video, work on that, okay, get that down. And then once you can do that at you know, about the speed I did it, C, F, B, E, A, D, G. Okay, once you can do it like that fast, okay, well, you're good to go. Now move on to the next step. And the next step is to locate the flats, okay? We're going to use the order of flats to do that. And again, the order of flats is B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat. And so it's the word bead with G at the end, all flats, okay? So we're going to use you know, since we've already established where all the natural notes are in the key of C, that's going to help us find the flats, all right? It's going to be a half step below its natural counterpart, okay? So, all right, so B flat is here at the 1st fret, and then we have E flat here at the 6th fret, and then A flat here at the 11th, okay? D flat is here at the 4th, and then G flat at the 9th. Okay, so you might want to stop the video and then exercise that, okay? And then once you're done, turn the video back on, and now we're going to get into the cycle of perfect fourths. Okay, we're going to put everything together now, right, to exercise our note recognition. And again, the cycle of perfect fourths is C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G. I emphasize that because usually when I'm showing this to a new student, they'll typically, I'll say, you know, we'll get to the part of, okay, we got to do the cycle of perfect force in the key of C, and I explain that to them. And so when they go to do it, they'll do C, F, B, E, A, D, G, and then they'll do B flat, E flat, A flat, G flat. I'm like, no, 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 no. That's not the cycle of perfect force. Okay? You know, it's C natural, F natural, then the flats, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G. That's the cycle of perfect force. Okay, so that's what we're going to do now. So we're just going to do this. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, and G. All right, so now you want to practice doing that, okay, with a metronome or a timer. All right, so now let's take a look at the D string.